But let me ask, you disagree with me. You disagree with me that racism doesn't exist. I said that racism doesn't exist. And you disagree with that. Why? First of all, do you disagree with that?
I do. And I think there's plenty of evidence that racism exists. I don't think it's as bad as it was in the 1960s.
It didn't exist in the 1960s either.
So it never existed?
Never existed. And so where's your proof that it exists?
Well, let me just ask you, was the Klan racist, the Ku Klux Klan, or no?
At some point, they became evil, but not racist. They were no different than Louis Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and the Democratic Party, Black Lives Matter.
But if racism is thinking that your race is superior and other races are inferior, then why wouldn't the Klan also be racist? Because that was in their ideology. The ideology is white people are superior to all other races.
And that's what racist, you believe that's racist to think that way?
To believe that a race is objectively superior to other races, yes, I do believe that's the definition of racism.
Most blacks, or many blacks, believe that their race is superior to whites. Are they racist?
Of course, yeah.
And so Louis Farrakhan is a racist?
I don't know enough about Louis Farrakhan to answer that question.
Yes, but I do know that you know that he hates Jews and he thinks that blacks are superior to Jews and whites, right?
I do. What I do know about him is that he does hate Jews. So yes, I'd call him an anti-Semite, and I'm perfectly fine in calling him that.
And would that make him a racist?
Sure, yeah. If he thinks that black people are objectively superior to Jews or whatever, sure.
Or to white,
that means he's a racist.
He believes that they're superior to whites. So is he a racist?
Okay. Yeah, so if that's what he believes, yes.
So a person's belief is what makes them racist, in your opinion?
Yes, the belief that a race is superior and other races are inferior is the definition of racism. And by that logic, racism absolutely exists. You just gave one example right there. You think Louis Farrakhan is racist, which is weird because you said before you don't think racism exists.
I don't think Louis Farrakhan is racist. Louis Farrakhan is evil, just like Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was founded by a bunch of black lesbians and black homosexuals and social justice warriors, white godless social justice warriors. And Black Lives Matter are worse than the KKK. Do you agree?
What's the body count? What's the body count? How many people have Black Lives Matter killed versus how many have the KKK killed? By
encouraging killing cops, they have caused, in my opinion, the lives of thousands of people.
Oh, thousands of people. Remember, okay. Where can I find that? Is that a study that was done by Columbia or something?
Remember when they went out chanting, "What do we want? Dead cops. When do we want it? Now."
I do. I remember that.
Pigs in the blanket, fry them like bacon. Remember the Ferguson effect? After they did all that, blacks went out and started killing. Would you put Black Lives Matter in the same category as the KKK?
No, not even close.
Do you believe that white people are racist?
No, I think it depends on the individual white person in question.
Have you ever met a white racist person?
Of course, yeah.
And what made that person racist in your mind, other than thinking he's superior? Because all fallen state people believe that they're superior to someone else. That's what the ego is all about. I don't know why you struggle with acknowledging that racism is something that exists. I know you're trying to say you're rolling it into evil, so you're saying racism is just evil. I agree that racism is evil, but it is also a useful category on its own. No. Our battle is a spiritual battle. It's a warfare between good and evil. You either serve good or you serve evil. And it's a spiritual thing, not a physical battle. Yeah, but since you don't believe there is because they're a different color than you, that's racism. They didn't hang them from the tree because they thought they were different color. There was never a lynching? Yes, they did it because they hated blacks, not because they were black. They had judged them for some reason. And so it had nothing to do with the color itself. So Emmett Till wasn't hung because he was a young black boy who whistled at a white girl? No, they did it because he whistled at a white girl, and they had judged black people, and they didn't want to miss the race. Would they have done that? Would they have done it if it was a white kid? No. Right, so probably not. The race was the operative factor. No, but because they don't hate their own race. Well, they do, they just don't realize it, but they hate the blacks because they think they're better than the blacks. It's a judgment, and it's not based on color. I got to ask you this. how do you see black people?
I don't see black people as a monolithic group. I see them as individuals like I see everybody else.
And how do you see them?
It would depend on the black person. Give me a black person, and I'll tell you the answer.
Give me your impression of blacks as a whole.
I don't have one in the same way I don't have a feeling about white people as a whole.
And
there's white people who are in prison and who are the scum of the earth, and there's white people who are wonderful scientists who are making the world a better place.
Why do you think that most black people are Democrats? If you notice, they supported a secular, insane person like Barack Obama, who is anti-God, anti-white, anti-Jew, anti-everything that's good. And most blacks voted for him twice. Is that a normal state of being for a group of people to do that?
So I think it was perfectly rational and the statistics, of course, bear out what you're saying, that the overwhelming majority of black people voted for Barack Obama and voted for Democrats because there was a political realignment in the 1960s where all the openly racist people decided to join the Republican Party. And, of course, the Democrats became the party of all colors, all races. And that's why they've been voting for the Democrats ever since the 1960s.
Well, why haven't they gotten better? They have only gotten worse as a result of voting for Democrats rather than better. I
don't agree with that. You asked me about the statistics showing black people overwhelmingly voting for Democrats.
Yes.
You obviously don't think that's a good thing.
Right.
I think there's a perfectly logical reason for that. First of all, in 1958, before the war on poverty, which was waged by Democrats, 17.3% of the country lived in poverty. And then in 1973, after the programs had taken effect, that dropped all the way to 11.1%. You have that plus the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the fact that, Lyndon Johnson famously said as he signed these pieces of legislation, we're going to lose the Democrats, the Democrats are going to lose the South for a generation, because he knew that all the white racists, that there would be a political realignment and the white racists would go to the Republican Party. So that's exactly what happened, and that's why you see the statistics overwhelming that black people vote for Democrats.
But that's not why Lyndon B. Johnson said that. Lyndon B. Johnson said that because they started to give black people free stuff. They told them that the government is going to give you welfare, but you can't have a man in the home, and in return destroying the family. And Lyndon B. Johnson said that we're going to keep these N-words on the plantation of the Democratic Party for 200 years, because he knew once the Democratic Party destroyed the family and became the daddy of black people and the so-called black leadership, the race hustlers became the thinkers for black folks, that black people were going to hell in a handbasket.
Was MLK one of those or no?
I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama. I was born there. I grew up there. I grew up under the Jim Crow laws. And black people were better off then than they are today because they got married. Less than 10% of black children were born out of wedlock. Black people worked for themselves. They did not rely on the government. They did not hate white people. They didn't blame white people. And most black people were Republicans up until the so-called civil rights movement started. And so
once you say MLK is a race hustler?
Once the civil rights movement started and blacks became addicted to the Democratic plantation, it's just been hell for them. So let me ask, you believe that, and just to answer your question about Dr. King, I disagree with Dr. King when he went along with signing that agreement that the government will become the daddy of black people. But
so is that an official agreement?
Most of the stuff started after he was assassinated. Dr. King never got along with Jesse Jackson and others in the movement because they had a hidden agenda. But I want to ask you, you believe blacks are better off within the Democratic Party as opposed to the Republican Party? Am I right?
I believe that as a general rule, left-wing politicians are better, not just for black people, but for everybody than right-wing politicians. Okay.
So black women who were born in America, they're American citizens, they were born here. 77% of their children are born out of wedlock, generation after generation. Is that a good thing? Because the government is taking care of them. The Democrat the Democratic Party the government take care of them. Is that a good thing for blacks?
No, I wouldn't say that that's a good thing, but I also don't buy your premise when you say that it was like a rule that the Democratic Party said you can't have a man in the home.
That is a rule. That was absolutely
is that written in law? Is that written in law?
I don't know what the situation is today, if it's still written, but at that time it was.
Oh, they put it in law, no dads in the home?
Listen to me. I know black people who, when the social worker would come around once a month, however often they came, if they had a man, the man would have to leave the house and the woman would have to pretend that she had no man in order to receive free stuff from the government. And so time has passed, and now these women know that the government is going to take care of them, so they're having babies and their children are having babies, knowing that the government will take care of them. And that's a fact and not a made-up thing.
So assuming that all of that is true...
Is that good for black people?
No, but assuming that all of that is true, why wouldn't the answer be to increase wages and incentivize people to get jobs by having jobs that pay a living wage, as opposed to right now they don't pay a living wage? So sometimes people are incentivized to go to the social safety net instead.
I cannot believe that's your comeback on that.
It makes perfect sense.
No,
so you should believe
that is insane. You're a nice man, but that's insane.
To incentivize people to work, that's insane.
That's not what the Democrats do. The Republicans offer that.
The Democrats are for minimum wage laws. The Republicans are against it. How many
that's the
Republicans
wrong way to do it. Kyle, if black people were to get married and fathers and mothers raise their children by being a good example, we have black on black violence in Chicago that we see and around the country in urban areas. Would blacks be better off?
First of all, I think that violence is tied to the drug war. Second of all, how do you legislate that?
No, answer that question. Would blacks be better off?
That is my answer.
Would blacks be better off if they had good fathers and mothers raising them, being a good example, providing? Would we have the black on black violence that we see in Chicago and other areas around the country?
I think everybody is better off when you have a loving family. Okay, but my question is, how do you legislate that? What, are you going to pass a law that mandates people stay together or get married in the first place? Because that is giant government, and I know that you're somebody who doesn't like big government.
So, Kyle, my question is, would blacks be better off?
And I answered it.
Would we still have the black on black violence in Chicago and other urban areas if black men and women got married and, by example, raised their children? Can you give me a yes or no on that?
I did. I gave you a much more thoughtful answer than a yes or no.
I didn't ask for a thoughtful one.
Excuse me.
I didn't ask about everybody. I'm only asking about blacks.
I think everybody, including black people, are better off with a loving family.
I'm not asking about everybody. I'm only asking about blacks. Give me a quick yes or no. Would we still have the black on black violence in the manner that we have it now if black men and women got married and, by example, be a good example and raise their children? Would we have the black on black violence around the country?
You would, because that's tied to the drug war.
Amazing. And so you're saying
that's right, it is amazing.
You're saying that if black men and women got married and raised their children in the right way to go, that they would still be on drugs, and so they would still need a drug war, whatever is happening. Would blacks still be on drugs like that if they had good parents?
I answered your question. Now you answer mine. How do you legislate people stay together?
That's not an issue. You can't. You shouldn't. So my question is, are you saying
why are we talking about it?
Are you saying that blacks would still be on drugs in the manner that they are if they had good parents?
I don't know how to legislate having good parents, number one. Number two,
that's not the question.
Still exists because it's tied to the drug war. When you make drugs illegal, there's a black market for drugs, and then there's violence tied to that black market. So the bigger problem, Jesse, is the drug war. I'm not in the business of chastising black people for anything. Okay, I'm here to talk about how to fix these problems.
Why not?
I don't know how to fix it through marriage or legislating that they stay together or whatever kind of kooky idea you're implicating.
Do you love black people?
I love all people.
How about blacks?
Yes.
And so why aren't you in the business of chastising them when they're wrong?
Because, again, I don't view them as a monolith. I view them as individuals. So if an individual black person is wrong about something, I will offer a helping hand and try to explain where I think they're wrong.
But you would not offer the group a helping hand.
I offer individuals a helping hand.
How
Again,
about
we've
the
been through
group?
this.
If you saw a group of black people in trouble, would you offer them a helping hand?
If a group of black individuals, yes.
How about a group of black people? Would you offer them a helping hand?
Yes, but my idea of helping them is different than yours. You want to yell at them for not having, coming from a loving family, whereas I don't understand how we could fix that. I'm here to fix the problems we can fix, and that means ending the drug war.
You fix it by stop taking care of them, no more freebies, require that they be responsible for themselves.
Is healthcare freebies or no?
Yeah, now it is.
So
They
no
should
more
have
Medicaid.
fallen
Get rid of
Messiah. Let me ask this because we run out of time. Barbara Lee, you wish that Barbara Lee could become speaker as opposed to Nancy Pelosi. Why?
Yes.
Is that true? Why
Yes.
Barbara Lee?
Because she was the only voice standing up against the Iraq and Afghanistan war at a time where everybody else wanted to go to war.
She's a loser.
No, she's right about stuff.
No, she's a loser.
She's amazing in her foresight.
No, she's not. She's an evil, nasty loser. But let me ask you this. Are you for the big, beautiful wall going up around the border?
No, I think it's silly and it wouldn't accomplish anything.
Does it bother you that when these illegal aliens come into the country, they end up in the urban areas first and foremost, and so black people are impacted in a negative way when it comes to jobs and health care, employment, housing, and crime? Does that bother you that the illegals that are coming in are affecting blacks first and foremost?
It bothers me that employment situations can be impacted by that, which is why I believe in having a strong process in place whereby we evaluate people's claims to being a refugee, if they're looking for asylum, or if they're an undocumented immigrant. I do support a process by which we determine whether or not we give them citizenship.
So you are bothered that blacks are hurt, impacted in a negative way, first and foremost by the illegal aliens? That bothers you?
I'm bothered by any time employment is undercut by cheap labor.
You're not answering the question again.
I am answering the question.
I'm asking
Jesse,
you.
see, here's the thing.
I'm asking,
a thoughtful
are
human
you
being, so I give you
bothered?
long answers.
Are you bothered that black people are affected negatively, first and foremost, by illegals coming into the country?
I'm bothered by cheap labor undercutting American labor, which is why I support a process by which you determine who should be here and who shouldn't be here.
So you're not going to answer that.
That is a direct answer.
My final questions. What is a man?
Oh, this is a good one. It's an adult human male.
So a male is a man?
An adult human male. Yeah, that's a textbook definition of a man. An
Amazing.
Adult human male.
What is love?
Love is when you care about somebody or something more than you care about yourself.
Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.